Tokenomics aspect is not just highly relevant for developers and founders who are issuing the token, it's also very relevant for investors who are looking at different projects to invest in. Because tokenomics is essential to building an active community that drives adoption, and it can really assure the long-term growth of a blockchain startup. So there are three objectives of crypto startups. First is to create a product people want. Second, to build a community around this product. And third is to give ownership to the community. So like for Bitcoin and Ethereum, for example, they've built a vibrant community of miners that operate their networks in exchange for their tokens. And this has been a very effective way to bootstrap those networks. So it's important to have a very clear plan for transitioning the community to that ownership and participation model. And while issuing a token has become quite cheap and easy, it's how you design the token, the socioeconomic engineering of the token, that's a very different question. So you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of the token? And derived from that, what should the properties of the token be? And derived from that, how can we create some business and governance models around these tokens? So you have to establish your token utility. What's the problem that your token seeks to address? And how does it align to existing customer needs? And there's a set of values that comes with creating a product in Web3, which are open source and transparency, interoperability, community governance. So you also have to think about what values do you align with as a company, and how do these values align with those of the Web3 space. Then you must consider the actors of your ecosystem. So these are developers of the core software, people who are actually building your platform, the shareholders in the platform, people who invested in your project, and the application users, just to name a few.
Web3 space grows very fast, and of course, it's not growing only as a concept and industry, but its technical abilities grows as well. We're getting more and more new protocols for those smart contracts, which increases the functionality and ability of the technology in general. Some of those protocols are already able to solve commonly known problems, for example, for companies and their economies. Traditional incentives and reward tools like company equity and employee stock options have a very long list of issues to address. For example, those could be unwanted ownership delusion for the companies, and not instant liquidity for the stock options, and problems with tax obligations, and inability to reward specialists who work from abroad, like freelancers or other international contractors. And those traditional instruments, they are not so clear to understand and manage, especially for the employees in the private companies. And of course, it rarely serves as an incentive instrument for a long run. And blockchain smart contracts, especially with the newest protocol, they became a very good foundation for software engineers to build company economies in a brand new way, the tokenomics. Some of those companies already actively uses blockchain tokens instead of traditional equity and options. Mostly those are DAO projects with open liquidity where anyone can become investor. And of course, yeah, it's a great incentive tool for employees, and it's a clear scheme for everybody, including the investors. But indeed, not every company wants to go public like DAO, and they would like to keep company ownership, and they would like to have something that's similar to a traditional way, but use some perks of crypto token, and that would work for anyone they need. And blockchain-based solutions already and new protocols, they're able to achieve that because some of protocols can handle, for example, bulk transaction or handle operation for vestings in the network, again with the bulk transactions, and increase functionality to achieve more control and prevent from scam and hacks. For example, tokens could be freezed, which provides bigger token safe utilization and many other good things. And yeah, by the way, our company Our engineering team currently work on a product that called Synthetic Equity, which aims exactly to help companies in adoption of tokenomics in a most easy way, an intuitive way, and use it to incentivize their employees and drive that innovation.
When we talk about how macroeconomic situation impacts the crypto market, we want to go back in time to 2020 when the pandemic broke out and the central banks had to intervene with quantitative easing. So quantitative easing comes in when the government wants to increase the money supply because there is lack of money around. So when the COVID started, there was lockdown, and then there was low productivity, and there was low funds, right? Then the Fed increased, gave out stimulus. So each citizens of the United States had access to $1,000 or $1,500. So there was so much money chasing fewer commodity. There was so much money in the market. There was lower productivity. Everybody was on lockdown. So people got money. They don't even know where to channel it to. So what happened? They were throwing it into the stock market, throwing it into the crypto market. We saw the crypto market picked up, and then there was a bull run 2020, 2021. And in the US, the highest physical cash that was printed in 2020. And 80% of the physical dollar was printed in 2020, which means there was so much money in circulation chasing fewer commodities, which led to inflation. And at the time as well, the Fed was decreasing interest rates. This was to encourage borrowing, because when people have access to funds, they would be able to spend. So to increase spending, they had to lower interest rate. Now that inflation is already ravaging the economy, so the Fed now is trying to increase inflation in order to mop out cash from the economy. We call it the contractionary monetary policy. Now, as the Fed is doing this, what happens? The stock market becomes unfavorable to investors. And don't forget, in recent times, the stock market and the crypto market have been correlating. Why are they correlating? So the investors love to put money in a market that does not correlate. So they want to see that as stock market is going, crypto market is going up. Or as crypto market is going down, stock market is going up. But we see that the same is not the case. We are now seeing that as stock market is going up, crypto is going up. As crypto is going down, stock market is going down. So this correlation, the macroeconomics effect affecting the stock market is now directly affecting the crypto market. So as it's correlating, investors are discouraged to put their money in a place that is not favorable. So what are we seeing now? We are in a bear market. And interesting thing is this: the bear market would still continue. Forget about all those green that is still showing. The Fed will still increase interest rate. The forecast is 3.5, and by next year it should be 4%. I tell you, in the financial market, we have what we call the fixed income market. The fixed income market becomes more attractive when interest rate is high, and the stock market becomes less attractive when interest rate is high. All right. So what do we expect here? We expect a slower pace in the market. It's either price just keeps ranging between resistance and support on the bottom it has created, or it creates more bottom. Thank you.
The goal of every investor is to maximize profits. All right. If you're going into a project, your goal is actually to maximize profits. All right. So the FAQs should actually contain. It should be enlightening investors that by investing in their projects, you are going to maximize profits and then minimize losses. Yeah. So, however, investors would not want to invest long term in a project if they do not understand what the project is all about, right? Investing in a project is not just all about profits, all right? For you to invest in a project, it means you actually share in the vision of that project. You are investing in Ethereum, it means you share in the vision of Ethereum, all right? And then you actually have, a percentage of power, all right? So for investors that do not understand what a project is about, it becomes a game of numbers, right? You enter Digen Place today, and then you don't understand what the project is about, so therefore you enter just to make profits, and then you leave, all right? the FAQs should actually, enlighten investors about how they stand to gain from investing long term in your projects. Now, I as a person, I built X60 Academy on the premise that, everybody understands DeFi, even 10-year-old children, right? Now, investors do not want to see grammar. They do not want to see grammar in your website. Most of the times today, in this product that we see these days, we go to their websites and we don't even understand what we are seeing, right? We see, very bogus words that we cannot even understand, right? So FAQs, content creation would actually go a very long way, right? Simplifying the project, simplifying the project token, simplifying even down to the frequently asked questions would actually go a long way. Right now, as a person, I would not invest in a project if I do not understand what that project is about. I would not also teach my students to invest in a project if I do not understand what that project is about, right? So projects actually make things complicated sometimes, and then they underestimate the importance of simplifying certain terms, right? So projects that make it these days are projects that actually try getting investors, right, from the global world of all age ranges.